Film fans of YouTube, hello and welcome back to the channel. My name is Josh, your movie apprentice, and today I am looking at Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part number 1. And this series, as you can expect, is probably one of the most consistent series going. This time, the mission, should Ethan and co choose to accept it, is to acquire two halves of a key that has the ability to control a sentient AI that is slowly terrorizing the world. But the fact is they need to get two halves of a key and figure out what this key unlocks. As I stated previously, Mission Impossible is one of the most consistent series out there. The action set pieces are a consistent bit of entertainment that is really well made and really well done, with a big emphasis on the use of practical stunts as opposed to CGIing a lot of stuff. And there are some big highlights in this movie. For me, the particular highlight has to be the sequence within the airport, though the train sequence does come a close second. Tom Cruise's stunt that you have all seen a million times by now, of him riding that bike off the Alps into a valley, that is a really good piece, and the context for why he does do that jump works really well in the movie. And that's another thing I'd really shout out. This is a serious spy drama with end of the world stakes, but it doesn't fear being funny on occasion. There are a couple of moments in this where the film almost stops to just give you an absurd bit of comedy that fits really well in this. It really shows the humanity of his characters on screen. And that's another thing. These are not perfect spies. They are apt to have banter between them, and there are going to be these hilarious comedic moments that will take place mid-chase or mid-mission that really work out really well. And that is really carried by our core four of this. The four that we have always really been able to appreciate as our solitary crew. Ving, Rhames, Tom Cruise, Rebecca Ferguson, and Simon Pegg are all, as usual, fantastic in their respective roles. I do love the dynamic between Ving Rhames' Luther and Simon Pegg's Dunn. They are a great pairing and work really well alongside each other as the foil for Ethan Hunt's character. It's a really enjoyable affair. We have some new characters in this as well. Esai Morales is the villain in this, and he is cold and calculating and does really well in his role. Hayley Atwell comes in as a pickpocket expert thief that gets pulled into something that's way beyond her capabilities and scope, and seeing her have to deal with that and slowly adapt to this crazy situation that she finds herself in is one of the highlights of this. And Klementieff, I really wish there was more to her character in this. It was great to see her on screen in a more antagonistic role as opposed to her, what we recognize her as, Mantis from Guardians of the Galaxy. It's good to see her take a reverse kind of role and really sink her teeth into it. She's entertaining for sure, but there is parts of her character that I wish could have been a bit more fleshed out, which leads me to the flaws of this. There are numerous side characters in this that, whilst the main cast do feel that they've gone through a natural progression in this movie, there are side characters that make decisions that really leave me questioning if there was stuff left on the cutting room floor when it comes to their motivations and choices they make in the latter part of the movie, particularly in the final act. Other highlights of the film have to be a particular sequence that seems to not rip off Uncharted, but I'm watching this sequence and they have literally adapted an iconic sequence from Uncharted into Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning, and I enjoyed it, but at the same time I couldn't help but feel I was watching Nathan Drake and not Ethan Hunt at certain points during that sequence. Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning isn't the best Mission Impossible movie. I'm not a Mission Impossible fanboy, but I do appreciate that every single one of them from the fourth onwards have been really consistent and consistently good. And this one for me, I would say it probably falls in behind Fallout and Rogue Nation, but does surpass Ghost Protocol. It's just a consistent path of movies, and that really has to be a big credit to its director, Christopher McQuarrie, who has directed the last 3 Mission Impossible films now and is directing obviously the next one, Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 2. Speaking of Part 1, Part 2 stuff, I really like that we are no longer in this age where Part 1 movies are just fluff to fill most of the story, just to give us the action-packedness in the second movie. This and Across the Spider-Verse have shown that you can make a Part 1 movie which tells a complete story and completes some character arcs whilst also teasing you for that follow-up film. That I really did enjoy. The pacing of this film, despite being just shy of 3 hours long, doesn't feel that long in the slightest. These hours fly by, but like I say, the motivations of certain characters in this is one of the flaws of it. And I also have to say that the villain, with it being an AI, there are a lot of times where it feels like there should be more going on. But these are minor gripes and doesn't really drag the film too much at all. Before I get into my grade, if you do like what you're seeing on the channel so far, click on the like button, subscribe to the channel for more notifications like this coming all the time. And do feel free to follow me on social media. I'm very active on Twitter and Letterboxd, but I do post to Instagram and Facebook as well. But anyway, Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1 is a consistently good part of the franchise. It tells a great confined story that will expand into the second one, but does complete some character arcs. The character of Grace, played by Hayley Atwell, is probably one of the most interesting characters I think we have had introduced into this franchise, but other character motivations and choices they make feel unearned or a bit suspending your disbelief into the character's motivation, and that does drag it down for me. But our core group really help carry the film, and the action set pieces are second to none. They are consistently good and consistently well made, and it is definitely an enjoyable ride at the movies. It doesn't blow me away like Top Gun Maverick did. Unfortunately, Tom Cruise, you've not blown me away a second time in a row, but it's still a solid entry into a solidly consistent franchise. I'm going to have to say that Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1 is a good cup of tea. So Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1, let me know what you thought about down in the comments below, and what was your favourite sequence in this movie. Do feel free to let me know. But until next time, everybody, my name is Josh, I've been your Movie Apprentice, and I'll see you all in the next one.
Turn it up like it's a rally. You're running and where the Cali keeping score. Got the tally, knock 'em off of the fanatic. No!